One.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everybody. I'm delighted to welcome you to today's webinar about treating exporting as a professional skill and what you can do to learn it. My name is William Barnes-Graham and I'm the Digital Content Manager at Open to Export. We are an online community helping small UK businesses get ready to sell overseas through our step-by-step articles and guides, regular webinars, Ask the Experts forum, and our Export Action Plan tool. You can find all of these on our website at www.opentoexport.com. Open to Export is powered by the Institute of Export and International Trade, the UK's only professional membership body for international trade, offering a unique range of individual and business membership benefits, education and training catering for beginners through to master's degrees, and an always exciting and prestigious programme of events celebrating UK businesses' exporting achievements. We will be running a live Q&A at the end of the session, and you can ask questions at any point during the webinar using the question box on the control panel to the right-hand side of your screen. We have three great speakers today. To begin with, we have Leslie Batcher, Director General of the Institute of Export and International Trade, who will be talking about her experiences in trade and the work that the IOE do to help businesses and individuals learn the ropes when it comes to selling overseas. Following Leslie, we have Maeva Evans and Rachel Howell, two export professionals who have studied on an IOE diploma and who now specialise in helping their organisations sell and operate internationally. But first off, over to you, Leslie.
Thank you very much indeed. I really just want to talk a little bit about me. So you'll notice that I'm the Director General of the Institute of Export, and I certainly, when I left school, the last thing I had in mind was actually exactly what I was going to do as a career. And I think you'll find a lot of people that have been successful in international trade didn't really know they set out to do that. But most importantly, what I wanted to talk to you about was how I did that and what I decided to do. So with your permission, I started working at a very large company called Ciba-Geigy Pharmaceuticals, and I loved it very much. While I was there, they were very good. They asked me if I wanted to work anywhere particularly. And because I didn't really know, I just said, well, should we just try? And we went around and I tried the accounts department and I tried the legal department and I tried the international trade department and fell completely in love with the whole thing. So perhaps we could move on to the next slide. But what I found was that I learned a lot from all the people around me, and there were really great characters there that had been there for a long time. I worked for a shipping manager called Stanley Augustus Knight, who had been around in the war and had moved logistics, and basically I learned a lot, but I wasn't quite sure whether I knew everything that was going on, so I looked around for a professional qualification. And the more I worked at Ciba-Geigy, the better jobs they gave me, and they sent me out meeting people, and I'd go out and I'd agree certain plans of action, and I would agree different production lines, and I would decide that we were going to accept certain payment terms, and I'd agree to ridiculous dispatch times. And when I got back, I would be telling everybody in the various departments what I'd agreed to, and you could almost see them rolling their eyes until I started studying with the Institute. And once I started studying with the Institute, I realised that actually I had to put everything in context. And the great thing about what we do is we actually give anybody who's going to trade internationally, depending on, it doesn't even matter whether you're going to focus in on the customs compliance side of things, or whether you're going to focus in on the marketing side or the finance side of things. Actually, what we do is you give you an overview so you know exactly where everything fits together, and it enables you to move forward and hopefully be really successful. I've had the most fabulous career. I worked for Ciba-Geigy Pharmaceuticals. I worked for Fujitsu Europe when they first came over to the UK. I worked for Coca-Cola, and that was the European, and that sounds really glamorous, but it really wasn't quite as glamorous because it was like selling concentrate that they used for the drinks all over the world. I know it's a shame, isn't it, but Coca-Cola wasn't the real thing for me. I then went on and worked for Novell Networking Products as a distributor. And really understanding how trade works has really helped me understand what to do, and really put things, I keep using this word, putting things in context. We have a favourite saying, and we say that, you know, if you're going to go to HMRC for the Inland Revenue, you go to a qualified accountant. If you're going to go to court, you go to a qualified lawyer. But if you want to send millions of pounds worth of goods all over the world, just at the moment, you just do it. And what we're trying to do is professionalise this industry and make sure that people look for our qualifications and look for professionals, just like Mava and Rachel are going to tell you about. Perhaps we can move on to the next slide, please. Okay, so what would an Institute of Export and International Trade qualification mean to you? Now, first of all, I'm going to explain to you that we've written "and international trade" on there because we are talking to the Privy Council at the moment about getting a royal charter for the Institute, which will put us in the same place as all the accountants and lots of other very, very great professional bodies, and actually will start to provide a recognised qualification and actually become more useful for the employers as well as you guys as employees. So international recognition, we're one of the leading bodies that look after international trade. The only other body that is as well known as we are is the Canadian, and that's their Forum for International Trade, and actually we helped them start up 50 years ago. You know, the great thing about working with the Institute is that we give you the competitive advantage because we keep up to date with all the latest trends in international trade. It enables you to stay ahead in your field. You know, we keep you up there, we keep you understanding what's going on, and you know, if you stay a member with us, which is an important element of it all, we'll keep you up to date and contemporary. So when you do the qualification, you have a mix of theory and practice, and most people that actually do our qualifications are already working in international trade, although some will be working towards a career in international trade. So, but most people are working. A unique opportunity to blend this practical element of things that you're learning within your office and actually things that you'll learn from us at the academic understanding side of things. It's great fun. It's quite hard work. I'm not pretending it's not hard work. And one of the things we understood at very early stages of actually putting this into a digital platform was that actually if you're traveling, if you're working in international trade, you're not able to get to college, you know, 1 night a week, 2 nights a week on a regular basis. So it's there to be flexible. It gives you an understanding of what's happening, and you get to work with a tutor who's actually a specialist in the subject area that you work in, so that you're studying. So, you know, it's really important to understand that. They're written by experts and delivered by experts, and I think it's the best thing you can look for. You engage with us on an online platform, and you'll find that the campus is very easy to navigate around, and there's lots of help from my team at Export House always to get you through any questions you might have. Should we do the next slide, please? So just a little bit about the Institute, because we've been around a long time. We started in 1935, and professional membership body. That's why it's important for everyone to stay members once they've studied with us. It's also important to actually get more members involved, people that need help, because we will actually help them with any technical issues they have, any interesting problems that crop up. We're able to try and find the right people for you, and we'll find them quickly. Our mission is to actually enhance the export performance of the United Kingdom, and we do that by setting standards and maintaining professional standards in international trade and export practice. Most importantly, we always set out, even in 1935, to do this for both services and goods. We do most of our work through our education and training programs, but actually what we also do is we're committed to actually talking to members, talking to businesses, and actually raising issues with anything that's going on within government that's needed. So you can probably imagine we're quite busy at the moment trying to help and trying to get people to understand how trade works. We're dedicated to professionalism and recognising the challenging but often complex trading conditions in international markets. The Institute is committed to the belief that real competitive advantage lies in competence, and that commercial power, especially negotiating power, is underpinned by a sound basis of knowledge. The next slide, please. So we have a range of professional qualifications along with the membership benefits designed to support you to develop knowledge, enable your growth and extend your network. Today's professionals want flexible bite-sized chunks of knowledge. They want the range of qualification that fits with them in their busy work schedules, and we believe that that's what we're giving people. I'm hoping that Maeve and Rachel are going to say that when they do that, they speak later on. The Institute of Export is an Ofqual regulated qualifications provider, so that actually as the apprenticeship schemes come through, hopefully that means that we'll have more and more advantages to actually working with us. We have the next slide, please. So the Institute actually offers you a roadmap. If you have no previous qualifications or experience, don't worry, because that's exactly what we designed the qualifications for. So you can be working in an office and perhaps you've been doing it for a few years. You can even talk to us about using your experience to actually offset and starting you at a higher level. You'd have to speak to our education delivery manager about that, but we would be more than happy to help you through that. For those of you who, so for the entry level, it would be Certificate of International Trade, and that's a level 3, and that's what we consider to be the equivalent of an A level. And that will start you off understanding the key pillars of our training and education programs, and that is all about the legal aspects and how trade works. The second pillar is all about market research and marketing in a different culture. The third pillar is all about finance, getting paid and setting the right price, foreign exchange. And finally, the fourth pillar is all about compliance and how that works. And we also have an elective, if you're not working in the goods industry side of things or manufacturing side of things, you can work on selling services, skills and softwares overseas, which is an elective you can choose. We also have level 5 diplomas, which are in world customs compliance and regulation, but I'll tell you all about that in a little bit more time. So if you're an experienced manager of an organisation trading internationally, or a trade advisor, or someone that's likely to work on a strategy, then they tend to work at the higher level with the Bachelor of Science and the MSc that we've got. So I'm going to tell you all about that in a moment. So may I have the next slide, please? Great stuff. We actually developed a young international trader program that actually the Scots love a lot and use. It's a level 1, just get young people thinking about how this works, and we work very hard to get people interested in this. So if at any stage anybody knows anybody that can help us get this into the schools, please do talk to me afterwards. I'd be very grateful. We think that if we don't embed international trade into the psyche of our young people, we really are going to continue to learn on the job and later in life, rather than actually set out to have a career in international trade as we want them to. So the second level that we work at, and these levels, level 1 and level 2, refer to the EU standards and the education standards that we work to within Ofqual. So level 2 would be designed for sort of 16 to 18-year-olds, and it's a starting point. And obviously when we're putting in for our apprenticeships, we're expecting a lot more younger people to be doing this as a starting point to get them going. It covers the initial points that I made about the 4 pillars that we do, but it sets very much in a logistics setting the knowledge that you might need, very much an administrative role. So it's useful if you're filling in documentation or you need to be accurately working within the compliance areas. Have the next slide, please. So level 3 is the equivalent of an A level, and this is where we're now beginning to broaden out our awareness of global trade issues and provide you with a clear understanding of the processes and practicalities of international trade. So no formal qualifications required for that course, but it's our starter pack that will start you going ready for the next level, which is a level 4. And a level 4 is the first year equivalent of a degree at university. And now we're still on the practical aspects of international trade, but we're going to get into a little bit more detail about how the principles work and the procedures work, and of course documentation for you to have a successful career in international trade. We've decided there that you probably need to have 4 GCSEs and the grades that you need for doing that. I think it's important to note that you can come to it through an MVQ level 2 as well, or you can be a little bit older with some practical experience. Because we're a vocational study organisation, what we find is that we're able to take people's experience into account and sort of give you a qualification that's based on what we know you know, as well as what you've studied as well. So next slide, please. So we have 2 qualifications that sit at a level 5, and this is the second year of a degree. And the level 5 in the Diploma of International Trade, the level 4 was about the practical elements, and level 5 is very much talking through the more of the decision making that has to be made and the practical things. It's about making right decisions when you're going through things. And this covers 4 modules: international marketing strategy, international logistics and purchasing, management of international trade, and then we have a final sort of catch-all module that's called practical global trading. And when you do this one, it's like everything you've ever learned in international trade all rolled into one, and it's the final element that demonstrates that you really are a professional in international trade. The Diploma of World Customs Compliance, this is a relatively new qualification. Again, this has been very well received, and it's beginning to really take off the more we understand that we're going to need qualifications in international trade to help us. There's a great statistic that we have that tells us that in actual fact, currently there are 90 million transactions that are going out to the rest of the world from the UK. That's 90 million each year import-export transactions. When we leave the EU, and as this is assuming that we're going to do the same level of trade, it means that we're going to have 300 million transactions every year, import-exports, almost overnight, and we know that we are not ready. We know we need more and more people to study and to understand how this works. So we feel very strongly that this is going to be the time for us to all understand and professionalise this industry. Can we move on to the next slide, please? So once you've worked with the Institute of Export to the level 5, the next thing is to say, where should we go from here? And we've been working with Plymouth University and boosting any foundation degree or a higher national diploma, or using your level 5 qualification that we have. We've got an online work-based course with the university, and that's designed to help you develop your skills and knowledge in more detail and really get to be a professional in the management practice of international trade. Finally, you could also take your level 5 and go along to Warwick University, and there you will be able to do an MSc in International Trade Strategy and Operations. And I have to say, it's a fabulous course. It's all delivered online, and you can actually get through this. It takes time. Anything worth doing takes time, and I have to tell you that I'm thinking about doing this one myself. So I hope that gives you a great idea as to what we've got in the way of qualifications. I got my diploma in international trade, and when I did that, I felt that I was in a different world altogether, and I was empowered to go out and work in lots of different industries. I've had the most fabulous career over the last, I'm going to say it out loud, but quickly, 40 years. I've loved it, and every day I learn something new, and I hope anybody that's even thinking about international trade as a career stops thinking and gets on and joins us and does it. So without further ado, I think that's my last slide. Can we go on to the next slide, please?
Thank you, Leslie. It was really great to hear about what the Institute do, and also to hear some of your experiences as well. And now to just give a kind of a more recent kind of understanding of kind of what it's like to go through these courses, I'm going to hand over to Maeva.
Hello, hi everybody. So yes, for those who do not actually know me, I'm still on my journey with the international, the Institute of Export Diploma International Trade Level 5. My background really is in marketing. I got a degree in marketing and I've been working in international trade for the last 5 years. My role at the moment is a trade compliance specialist, which means that on a daily basis, I need to provide adequate support to most areas of the business. So that will be like guidance on export control requirement, export licenses, determination of product control classification, origin, commodity code, dealing with customs issues or shipping issues, ethic and compliance concern, and carrying out audit, import and export audit. So having to write processes and or actually look at processes on a daily basis to ensure that we remain compliant, I realized that I needed a better understanding of the different functions. I mean, if you don't work within a specific function, it's very hard to actually relate directly to what the people need. And if you are to write processes in order to help them do their job on a daily basis correctly, then you need to understand what type of challenges and risks that they face on a daily basis. So I look around for courses, and I have to say, like Leslie said, there's not a lot out there when it comes to specific qualification in international trade, and I'm glad that the Institute of Export, which I've been there for many years, I've got a program in place to help us develop ourselves. So I found the Diploma in International Trade, Level 5, because again, my role involved making decisions, and making the right decision is very key. I needed the knowledge. So I enrolled I believe, I think I started about 6 months ago, or a year ago actually, and the journey has been quite interesting and very engaging. So being relevant is what I believe in. Being relevant within the business, be able to provide solutions is what is important. And I remember a say of the former Secretary General of United Nations, Kofi Annan, said, "Knowledge is power, and information is liberating." I needed the knowledge to do my job, and the information that I got will actually allow me to help the business move forward. So when we talk about knowledge, it was not just the theory. I needed practical knowledge. I need something that I could take home and be able to actually review and then actually bring to work and be able to work on and make some changes. So next slide, please, William. So the Diploma in International Trade for me is a world-renowned international trade qualification, and that's why I needed to actually further my career as a professional. I found the tuition content actual, and they also challenged my ability to analyze and apply the theory that I learned to real-world situations. For example, looking into our logistic department, you learn about export documentation and how important it is to get it right when you actually move goods across border, avoid delay at custom if you haven't got the right paperwork, etc. So that actually helped me look into it further. The courses are delivered by professionals. So I found that the tutors are what they are experts, and what you actually get from it is actually they share their experience. They share their experience, they share try and tested method and tools, which are always handy when you go back to work and you need to look into a specific subject. The course duration from 12 to 18 months is demanding, I have to say, but it does fit within work, your personal life commitment. You can find ways. It's distant learning, so all the material and coursework, they are available on the campus, the student campus, and you can access them at any time, whether you are at home or at work, and you can review as well. You get supportive material, which is always handy, especially try to identify what type of books or external material you could use to actually further your studies. I found that it was quite helpful to have those 12 to 18 months, because at a very demanding time of my career at work, but also personal commitment, I had to postpone one of my modules, and I found that the tutors were very, very supportive. So I've been able to go back into it and carry on. Next slide, please, William. So my experience talking about Institute of Export and my diploma in international trade, first of all, is commitment. Like Leslie said, it's hard, but it's exciting. It's difficult to kind of study while you are working full-time and have a demanding family commitment. But beyond the accreditation, and it's wonderful to have this diploma validating at the end of the day what you've learned, you actually develop a critical but also analytical approach to the way you do things. And that's because the coursework kind of asks you to look into real situation, to relate to your environment and apply the theory. So what I found in that case is that, if you positively challenge the way you do business. So you can come back, you can look at the processes, are we doing it right, or do we need to improve it? You're in position to make the changes for your business and ensure that, you remain compliant. I find it also very engaging. It's distance learning, so the tools that you got available to discussing and talk to your tutors or share with your classmates where possible are the online platforms, whether it's the forum that you got on the system, which is good when you want to actually exchange a point of view or discuss on a specific subject. But you also got the calls. I always attend my calls, and the reason why is because that's a good opportunity to ask a lot of questions to your tutor about a specific concern that you may have on the subject. You also have interim assignment. I have to say, delivering the interim assignment is hard work. However, what I found is that by doing so, at least 2 of them, I always make sure I do, is that you are testing your knowledge. So I tested my knowledge, and you actually get the opportunity to receive the feedback from your tutor. And that feedback makes sure that you're on track, and you can evaluate whether you are getting the most out of this course or not. So I'm still on my DIT journey, so I should complete it in September. One of my objectives, I believe, last year was to spend some time with the shipping department logistics. I needed to understand a bit more that function and the processes. And the logistic and purchasing module, supply chain, cover all that aspect, including transport. It gave me a greater understanding of how the department is structured, the knowledge of the term use, the meaning, the department role within the business, as well as the risk and the opportunity that they face on international trade. So we have been able to look at the processes and see how we can actually improve it. So where this journey has taken me, I've taken more responsibility within the business. So my kind of experience have been more in export licenses, export control and regulation. But by by attending these courses, first thing when the big change for me was in the logistic department is getting involved in reviewing our carriers, looking at the broker entry, because as a business we are responsible for our own import and export, even if we actually subcontract some of the brokering activities. So checking the import documentation, making sure that it's correct, knowing what to check is very important. You need to get the knowledge, and the knowledge is out there if you get on the courses, but also if you actually attend webinars. And that gave me the confidence to support my colleagues and business partner more effectively. One thing that we've done is that we, as a team, but also myself, delivering training to the business on specific topics, whether it's origin or classification or control technology, but also awareness to the business as a whole, the importance of doing it right when we actually dealing with export documentation, and when we actually dealing with control goods, when we actually working with technology and exchanging information across borders, we need to know how to do it and do it compliantly. So I would say since joining the Institute of Export and getting not only the qualification and learning, but also reading the newsletters as a member, I definitely learned a lot, and it helped me with my skills, create more awareness within the business, but also deal with colleagues at different levels. So I think what you get definitely is a strong confidence acquired from knowledge. You feel really liberated that as a as an individual, you can actually deliver a solution to a business. And that is what I found very exciting, learning, growing, and getting the people around you educated. I always believe that as a business, it should be education or learning and growing should be a culture. And as trade compliance specialists, especially within our department, and we want to make sure that our business and the people that are working in it are aware of the risk, also the challenge and the opportunities that are there for them, and ensure that as they do the job on the daily basis, they are equipped with the right tools to actually deliver a good job and keep the company safe. And let's remember, when it comes to international trade, the goalposts are changing all the time. There's a lot of geopolitical changes, increase on security. So moving good across border is not as easy as it used to be. There's a lot of regulation, and on that side, I would say the regulation, I bet, are going to be stricter. So we need professional. We need our people trained, and I'm a firm advocate on that, and I believe that the Institute of Export have helped me in my career growth as well. So I believe that's my slide completed. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's really, I think the point you made about kind of business being as much a learning experience as any other part of life is really important. So yeah, thank you very much, Maeva. And now on to our kind of second kind of former students. We're going to go to Rachel now.
Hi Will, thank you. So my name is Rachel and I studied the Certificate of International Trade with the Institute of Export. I actually finished my course in September last year, so I studied for 18 months and I'm due to formally attend my graduation ceremony later this month. So I'm very much at the end of my cycle of studying with the Institute of Export, but that is not to say that I won't continue my journey with them. I had a really good experience throughout my course. So to give you a bit of a background about how I came to take my course, I studied languages for 4 years at the University of Sheffield, and during that time I tried out a range of different job options. I spent a lot of time working in customer service, and I spent a year working abroad where I worked as a translator in France and as a teaching assistant in Spain. And that kind of made me realise that these were two popular career options for languages students, and I effectively ruled them out as options for myself. So rather than do a master's straight after university, being unsure exactly what I wanted to do, I decided to just throw myself into the world of work. I was itching to get out and kind of form a career for myself, and I found a fantastic opportunity to work in international event management, being based from the UK, but for a healthcare professional association that worked very closely with the Department for International Trade. So that was a great opportunity for me, and it really exposed me in an indirect way to the world of international trade. So my main role was to organise the UK pavilion at large healthcare sector international trade shows. So this was in Brazil, the UAE, South Africa, Saudi Arabia, Mexico, all around the world. And although my role wasn't in such as international trade, we were kind of purchasing services from overseas suppliers, but my role was primarily to manage the events and to work very closely with our clients to ensure that they had the optimum time at these trade shows that they could, that when they went out to the exhibitions they had everything they needed and support from us to find new partners, to find buyers, distributors. Hospitals as well was a big customer for them at these trade shows. And it was during this time that my eyes were opened to the world of international trade, and I also realised that to properly support my clients as well as I could, I needed to understand more about what it was that they were looking for, what they were trying to get out of participating in these events, which I found really interesting. So taking advice from my colleagues who had also previously studied with the Institute, my employer and some of my clients, I decided to undertake the certificate, the level 3 qualification, as although I already had a degree, my degree didn't necessarily cover many business aspects of the course, so I chose the certificate to really cover all the basics of UK trade as well as national trade and international trade and the different functions of the department. Okay, if we could move on to the next slide, Will. So yeah, I studied for 15 months. I did part-time distance learning. I began in 2015 and I submitted my last assessment in September last year. I found that the workload was very reasonable. As Leslie was explaining, the courses are designed for people who are in full-time work, and the majority of the students are in full-time work. So, you know, the course tutors and the course requirements and the workload definitely is designed with this in mind. You are given a weekly study schedule to take you through the study period, and then after that you progress into the assessment period if you're ready to, or as Maeva did, you can postpone a module as well. I found that the weekly study guide was very reasonable. On many occasions I was able to do 3 weeks worth of study at once, or, you know, when my work commitments and my personal commitments were particularly pressing, I could just stick to the schedule or double up on a week here and there and make sure that I was able to fit it around my workload. The Certificate of International Trade has 4 modules. The first that I undertook was the Fundamentals of International Business, followed by the Introduction to International Trade Management, the Global Marketplace module, and the International Transport and Documentation module. These 4 together were really well suited. There was some crossover between modules, but it was really interesting because what maybe was touched upon in one module would then be further developed and explored in another, and after the end of all 4, it really gave me a really good holistic overview of how international trade takes place and what are the key elements that need to be understood by exporters and importers, and all of the accompanying elements. Each module had a 10-week study period followed by a 6-week assessment period. During this assessment period, I had to undertake 2 written assessments of 1,600 words each. If I was to continue studying with the Institute of Export, I found during the certificate that actually if my workload was lighter, it was also an option for me to take 2 modules at once. So if I wanted to perhaps complete the course in a shorter time period, I would possibly consider doing that again, given that my workload would allow it. But that was something I thought during the certificate that perhaps that would be a good idea for me. But I did choose to take 1 module at a time because it was my first experience of studying. Could we have the next slide, please, Will? Okay, so I've tried to just jot down a brief overview of the topics that was covered during my certificate, and particularly the ones that I feel have been really important to me during my career and since completing the course. So the course covered the structure of businesses and how each of their departments function, why businesses should export, how to identify and protect your business against the risks of exporting. As Leslie was saying, exporting is great, but doing it right is even better because unfortunately, if you do it wrong, you know, mistakes can be costly. In small businesses, it's even more costly if you don't have the resource to keep going through mistakes. So the certificate was really helpful guiding me on the right path to make sure that everything was done correctly. For example, exchange rate fluctuation with international trade comes different currencies, so how to make sure your business is equipped to trade around the world and make sure that any predicted or unpredicted fluctuations overnight of currencies against each other isn't going to leave you massively out of pocket. The course also covered how to draw up and implement a business plan and a sales and marketing strategy. How to source and identify different finance options for your business if you don't have the luxury of huge cash reserves, then you might need to explore this to help you facilitate international trade, whether that's an overdraft, a loan, export finance, government grants, etc. The course covered the elements of the marketing mix and the 4 Ps, or as it was described. So how to identify markets that would be good for your company, how to access routes to market, how to price and sell your products, how to identify customers, all elements like that is covered in that section. And also other considerations for selling and marketing your goods, such as language, culture and political influences, which you may not understand currently, and it's a good way to explore these before you approach your market to make sure that you're going in the best possible circumstances. Next slide, please, Rob. Some of the topics also covered was how to negotiate sales and how to draw up contracts and agreements with customers and distributors, such as what payment terms you should be looking at using and whether or not you want to agree exclusivity terms. This is something that's very much come to light for me in my current role as I work predominantly now with distributors. Cash flow and finance, how to make sure that your company doesn't accidentally end up going bust by having too many outgoings, and making sure you get paid, making sure your cash flow supports your trade activity. Some of the legal and political considerations that you need to consider when signing agreements, such as having everything in the law of England and Wales. Free trade agreements, where the for example, this is going to be very relevant at the moment. Within the EU, we have trade agreements with many countries and markets around the world, making sure you understand how these work. And it's definitely given me a better overview and context of the importance of, for example, Brexit negotiations and how this might affect us trading moving forward. Also methods of transportation, how to actually get your goods to your customers, how to do it cost effectively, efficiently, safely, and how to make sure that the transportation doesn't damage relationships between you and your distributor. They don't want to be receiving goods that are either late, out of date, damaged, etc. So this was very important. The Incoterms, so if you're familiar with Incoterms, that's great. If not, it's the idea of who pays for the transportation, how is it insured, where is it delivered to, who collects it, everything like that. The documentation that's required to go alongside it, and also cargo insurance to make sure that your goods are insured if they need to, and which level of cover is necessary for your products. And the next slide, please, Will. So since completing the course, I've actually had an interesting turn of events in that in the last 6 months I have changed career path. I really enjoyed completing my course, and around the same time that I finished my course, I was looking for my next opportunity and my next growth opportunity for my career, and I decided to change my career path slightly and work in international sales. So the course really helped me firstly have the confidence to pursue this career, and secondly also have the knowledge to back up my belief that it would be a good career choice for me. So when I was interviewing, it gave me that proof and evidence as such to say, look, I want to do this, I want to be in this career, I have studied towards it, I've done very well in my course, these are all the things that I've covered, and these are all the elements and knowledge that I could bring to your company and help you grow your exports worldwide. So I was very lucky to now work as the International Sales Coordinator at a company called Pet Brand based up in West Yorkshire. We are a manufacturer and supplier of pet products and accessories, which is personally for me a very different change from the healthcare industry, which was medical devices and very technical and gory at times, and now I get to look at cats and dogs all day, which is great. So we supply to around the UK. We're very well established in the UK and also overseas. We currently have distribution agreements in over 30 countries worldwide. We work with a mixture of distributors and retailers and wholesalers. So there's lots of different channels for us to get our goods into market. So it's very interesting to learn what has worked well for us so far in certain markets and what opportunities there are. Something that I've definitely been able to bring from my course is looking at, different opportunities for us, marketing opportunities, how to identify markets. Since starting a few months ago, I've identified many more markets that we could be approaching and accessing, which I've constructed into kind of an 18-month marketing plan for the business, including trade shows, market visits, everything like that. So the future for our exporting currently looks fantastic. There's a lot for me to go at, but the company is very supportive, and I think so many elements of the certificate have really been able to help me make those moves, make those decisions, and know that I have the knowledge behind what I'm saying to support this. So yeah, that's everything that I've done since completing the course. I would thoroughly recommend it. The course tutors were really helpful. Like Maeva was saying, attending the calls, the student calls every time they were on, gave me that one-to-one or group discussion support to make sure that I was on track, that I understood the course elements that were being discussed, that I knew what I was doing when it came to submitting my assessments, and everyone was very supportive. I'm looking forward to graduating. I'm quite proud of myself, and definitely hoping to further my career through further studies as well, because international trade is always changing. I think it's costly to be complacent in any industry, but in international trade, the world is changing all the time. And I think whether you're just starting out in your career or whether you've been doing it for 30, 40, 50 years, there's always something new to learn. So whether that's talking to people, reading the news, or studying professional qualifications, you have to make sure that you're up to date and you know what's going on for yourself, for your business, and for the economy as well. I think it's really important. So thank you very much, and I'll pass over back to Will.
Thank you, Rachel. And I think that last point about kind of complacency being potentially costly is a really great point as well. It's really important to invest in exporting and invest in kind of personal, professional development within it. We're now going to go to the questions. As mentioned at the start, you can ask questions using the control panel on the right-hand side of the screen. One note on the questions: we'll be asking questions more generally about the kind of exporting and education rather than kind of technical details about exporting, which I'd say use the technical helpline on export.org or the Open to Export Ask the Experts forum for any more technical questions for the time being. The first question I will ask, though, is from Mandy. I'm going to ask this to Rachel first, as you mentioned you studied languages. And the question is, can you say if you feel the teaching of languages in school should be given more importance now, given obviously the increasing importance of international trade? So over to you, Rachel.
Yes, that's something that I personally, having studied languages throughout middle school, high school, university, I definitely found that although languages are offered, I don't necessarily feel like it was actively encouraged for me to take that course. I'm very grateful that it was a decision that I made. I think it opens so many doors, fantastic doors to travel all around the world, get a better understanding of the global economy, the global market, and different cultures. It's such a key skill that I think young people and adults need in life for any career. It can always come in handy. It's always important and valued by employers. And as we were discussing previously, international trade is so important at the moment within the UK and internationally. So studying a language will open up many doors for you. I think it's something that definitely has to be persevered with, but you will always be grateful that it's a choice you took. For me, languages, I don't use my languages heavily on a day-to-day basis anymore. However, they still come in extremely valuable when I'm visiting different countries, when I'm working with suppliers. There are many things or perhaps nuances that may have perhaps slipped me by, or red flags that I wouldn't have been alerted to if I didn't have an understanding of different languages. So even though I'm not necessarily using my degree directly within working in international trade, it's definitely something that I don't think I could have done without it.
Thank you, Rachel. And a question which will definitely be of interest to Leslie is from Lucian, and he asks, how's the Institute going to respond in terms of what it's teaching and to the growing protectionism in international trade? How will the courses kind of adjust and kind of grow with that change in the global trade climate? So, Leslie.
Just an interesting point. Obviously, the UK government is working very hard to actually encourage the continuance of globalisation rather than the diminution as it seems to be happening. It's very difficult to know how to do it. What we do is we prepare people. We get businesses ready so they can think about all the different aspects, and of course it also includes the work we do talking about setting up in a new market. It's a very comprehensive course that we already offer, but we will obviously be keeping up to date with these things and changing as and when the environment changes. Great question. We're all a bit worried about the lack of globalization and the increasing talk of isolation from America and, indeed a lot of other countries. So, yeah, great point. But, that's the great thing about international trade. It's always changing, and that's one of the reasons I think I fell in love with it.
Thank you, Leslie. Very, very, very interesting, very pertinent. And a question now from Julie, this might be a good one for Maeva. She said she's struggled to find the time and the kind of the timing and resource to invest in exporting. But how would you recommend kind of fitting in the courses or just trying to find that extra time? From your experiences, how did you manage to do that? So, Maeva.
Yeah, that's a very good question. And I think when you decide to take on the course, already make the kind of mental commitment that, you want to do it. And what I found from my experience is that it's important to have a supportive work environment that is aware that you actually want to do it or you're going ahead and doing it, so that you actually will be able to talk about those options. But the other side is looking at the content of the course and then see whether you can catch up. What I found myself is that, for example, during the summer holiday, you study, but at the same time you have a lot of maybe personal commitment that you need to meet. And what I was doing is trying to, kind of catch up 2 or 3 weeks after a certain time. I have to say there was a lot of late night studying, so, dealing with the house stuff as usual, and then sit down and then took a few hours. But what I found very interesting is that you could drive your own pace. You have the study material, they are available, the complete set for your course, for that particular module you're studying. So review them and have a look whether you can rearrange it. You have the weekly reading that you can make. So if you can actually stick to reading the content of the material every week, that's fantastic. If you find that it's very difficult, then I would say, look at the content, see how you can actually fit it within a period of time that is not very busy. But getting really the support from your environment, whether it's personal at home or at work, is also key, and to ensure that you can keep to your schedule. It will be hard, but I think the reward is that you're learning, you're growing, is absolutely worth it.
Thank you. That's very, very kind of reaffirming, I think, as an answer. And the final question I'm going to ask for now is from Maxwell. And again, this is probably for Leslie. He's asking just about Brexit and kind of what is the IUE doing in terms of courses or qualifications around Brexit in particular. So over to you, Leslie.
Okay, so thanks. Yes, I was amazed that we actually spent quite a long time not talking about Brexit. So what we did, the first thing we've done is we've put together workshops to help people understand what the implications are. And as those are changing, obviously our workshops are updating. So do have a look out for those if you want to get involved with them. But in actual fact, our courses, and I think the two other panelists will agree with me, our courses prepare people. So yes, this is a big change, and yes, there are going to be a lot of different things we have to do. But I think in studying with us and understanding the context, even if it's just a short course training with us, actually helps you get it all in perspective. And you can sort of put together a to-do list. Obviously, we don't know for sure exactly what shape everything is going to take, but it does help you to get everything in a balance, and you can take a holistic view of what's going on rather than just looking at just one element. Obviously, paperwork's going to change, but also the opportunities around the world as we get to the stage of negotiating. There's lots of time to study, lots of time to have a think about it. Nothing's going to happen overnight, but we do need to start understanding the entire process of international trade, not just this one narrow area of it all. So, you know, I think you'll find that we've got it covered in the study. We've certainly got workshops, certainly got one-day courses. We've actually just launching a bite-sized chunk of knowledge that should be online at the moment, that will teach you what world trade means and what the free trade agreements will actually mean as far as implications to businesses are concerned.
Thank you, Leslie. And yes, those bite-sized chunks are definitely worth checking out if you just want to have a quick kind of intro into some of the educational resource that's at the IOE. So yeah, definitely recommend that. And on that note, I think it's probably time for us to wrap up. Thank you once again to Leslie, Maeva and Rachel, and I hope you found today's session interesting, maybe a little inspiring too. Sorry, just turn my webcam off. Before heading off, I'd like to draw your attention to upcoming events being run by the Institute of Export and International Trade. The graduation prize giving ceremony, which Rachel I think mentioned, that's taking place in London on May 24th and is open to all. And it's a great chance to hear some brilliant speakers and meet the next generation of international traders at the residence of the Lord Mayor. Indeed, the Lord Mayor will himself be attending, so that promises to be quite a fabulous event. And on May 25th, we have some extremely useful and practical courses on anti-bribery, compliance and export controls when sailing into the USA. They're taking place in London and Birmingham, and you can find out more about all of these events and courses on export.org.uk. The next Open to Export webinar is on mitigating against corruption risks when entering new markets, and that is on next Tuesday. Brooke Horowitz from IBLF Global will be leading that session, and anti-bribery legislation is something we haven't covered in quite a while, so I definitely recommend signing up to that. That's all from us for now. Please take our survey as you exit to let us know what you thought of the webinar and to give us any suggestions for improvements or future topics. But for now, goodbye.